I mean, I've known you a long time, and so when you perform your magic, I always believe that you are who you say you are. There's no like, oh, that's my man Jeff. It's like, no, that's Colin Powell or that's whoever you're playing. And the depth of the conviction is so powerful. How do you do that? How do you make me forget, yo, that's my man, and like be like, yo, I 100% believe he is who he says he is?
Well, that's part of the fun for me too, is adapting. Trying to shape myself, my ego, my thing around the character that I'm supposed to be portraying, supposed to be creating, and that it keeps me busy because I'm flexible. If you can't beat them, confuse them. So I don't have necessarily a type. I've never been pigeonholed, and so I enjoy that aspect of it, and it also allows me greater opportunity. And I just use everything I can. I use all the tools I can: voice, body, eyes. Use the work of the costume designer, make sure that the shoes inform the way I move, all of these things, add to, and increasingly now, I use the wig department, the wig makers out there, I use all the tools I can to create someone outside of myself who, of course, is infused with who I am. But I'll say one more thing too about, you asked me my favorite, why I like acting. There are two things too that I like about being on a movie set. One is when the camera rolls. The other is when we go home. That's the two best parts. When the camera rolls and when we get the fuck out of there, because they're long days and, it's a grind. And, when that camera rolls is when kind of time stands still and everyone focuses. There's a quiet, and you're not aware that you've been there for 17 hours. You're just inside that moment trying to tell that story. And then the camera rolls again and you're back to the tedium of waiting and all that stuff. Or the camera cuts and then you're back to the tedium. And but ideally you get a good flow going. And then you say, okay, that's, martini, that was the last shot. Okay, let's get the hell out of here. Those are the two best aspects of it.
I've had other actors on here, and they've said most actors are not chameleons. You're kind of doing a version of yourself all the time. But I think you're really a chameleon. Do you think that's accurate?
That's part of the fun for me. Those were the actors that I really was drawn to when I started. Guys like Dustin Hoffman, who always had some kind of theatrical tricks that he brought to bear, and he never was quite the same in any role. A guy like Alec Guinness, who would love, I love the theater, the theatrics of that stuff. And that to me was what it was about. It was about just crafting character, You don't wear the same pair of shoes every day. They shoe designers, well, maybe I do, but designers make different shoes. We just, we actors, the ones that I respect the most, make different characters. They just that's part of the challenge.
You talk about Dustin and Alec. Do you have a top five or a list of top actors? Yeah,
top five actors. Off the top of my head, if I thought of the folks early that I really appreciate, I'll go back. Of course, you got to go with like Sidney Poitier.
Yes.
My first ever close up or semi close up single shot was opposite Sidney Poitier in a mini series called Separate but Equal. He played Thurgood Marshall. I played Bill Coleman, who was the youngest of the attorneys at the Legal Defense Fund during the Brown versus Board of Education case. And I was 22 years old, 21. I just out of college, just moved to New York about a year before. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just started acting my junior year of college, and I got this role, or they asked me to come in for the role because I was a political science major, and they assumed I knew a little bit about this subject, which I did, and that's why I got the role. I had no idea what was going on, but that first single with me, I looked up Sidney Poitier is on the other side of the camera, and they say rolling, and I'm like, oh my god, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, but I'm gonna fake it, baby. And he is such a beautiful man. Uh, he was so gracious. Me, a little knucklehead, uh, he was so generous and just such graceful leadership qualities that he exuded. So Sidney is right up there. He had been before that to Sir with Love. Just my well, as a kid, my heart just it just filled with what he did and the stories he told and what he represented. So Sidney, of course, Marlon Brando. Uh,
Mm.
you know, I
Yeah.
mean, it is what it is. Dennis Hopper.
Yep.
Uh, um, I'll tell you one that a lot of folks sleep on, who I think is, I mean, just so super bad, was Adolf Caesar. Uh,
Soldier Story.
Soldiers. Oh, come on. Soldier Story and Color Purple. How he didn't win an Academy Award, I don't even know if he was nominated. I believe he was, but come on, man. I
Mm.
mean, those two performances, particularly Soldier Story, is as bad as it gets.
Mm.
Period. Um, and another actor who really influenced me in very specific ways was Gary Oldman. And actually, he and Dennis, I got a chance to work with on Basquiat, and
Mm.
that was pretty special for me. Of course, David Bowie, Chris Walken, everyone who came through Benicio on that, but Gary was a very specific inspiration for me. For example, a lot of people like Peoples and Shaft. Peoples is kind of out there. He has his moments of intense emotional expression. He puts it out there, and I can say very specifically that the way I was able to go there was a result of watching Gary Oldman and Sid and Nancy and going, man, this dude is bringing it. He's not like there's no governor here. There's no 11 for him. That whole thing just goes. He just cranks it up, and I was like, wow, that's possible. And so Gary was a very specific influence on me, and working with him at early in my career was a great gift. And likewise, Dennis Hopper, same. And so I've had the benefit of being inspired by folks who I've actually had a chance ultimately to work with. And Dennis, when we did Basquiat, the first scene that we filmed was a scene in which I'm outside with Benicio. We see Andy Warhol, David, Bowie, and Dennis, who played Bruno Buschelsberger, walk into this restaurant, and I follow in with some postcards that I have created to try to sell to them. So the first scene that we shot in that movie was that interior scene around the table. The two of them sitting at the table. I come in, just Bogart and try to sell these cards. So we rehearsed that scene, and then I went back to hair and makeup to the trailer, and I'm sitting in the chair, and they're doing whatever. I don't remember exactly what they're doing. And Dennis walks into the trailer, and he leans into my ear, and he says, "Cool." And I was like, "Oh man, that was it. That was like the blessing." It was, and I was ready to roll. I was ready to roll.